Welcome to Finance Deep Dive. Today, we're going to get into a question that's probably on your mind. Why does it feel like your salary just can't keep up with, well, the cost of everything? Let's break down the real economic forces behind this whole frustrating situation. You know that feeling, right? You're at the grocery store, you're paying your rent, you might have even gotten a raise, but somehow it feels like you're still falling behind. It's this constant, stressful game of catch up. And look, you are absolutely right to feel that way. This is not just in your head. The gap between what we earn and what things actually cost is a massive economic issue. And in this video, we're going to dig into the deep structural reasons why this is happening. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the fundamental timing difference between price hikes and pay raises. It's kind of like a race where one runner gets a huge unfair head start. Think about it. The price of gas or food can literally shoot up overnight because of some supply chain problem or a global event. But your paycheck? That's a whole different story. It's often set in an annual contract or has to go through a long negotiation process. Economists call wages sticky because they just don't change that quickly. And that lag, that gap in timing, creates an immediate problem for you. Your real purchasing power, which is really just a fancy way of saying how much stuff your dollar can actually buy, takes a nosedive. The number on your paycheck might be the same, but it sure doesn't go as far as it did last month. But you know, this story goes a lot deeper than just bad timing. There are these powerful, almost invisible economic forces that are actively putting the brakes on wage growth. So here's a concept that is absolutely crucial: productivity. In a healthy economy, as we, the workers, get more productive, making more things or providing better services each hour, our wages should go up right alongside. Productivity is the engine that's supposed to power long-term pay increases. And here's the kicker. For the better part of 2 decades, that engine has been sputtering. Productivity growth has been really slow. And with slow growth, there's just less room for companies to hand out big raises without having to jack up their own prices. Which, of course, just adds more fuel to the inflation fire. All right, next, let's talk about bargaining power. This is all about leverage, right? How much power do you really have to walk into your boss's office and successfully ask for more money? For a lot of people, the honest answer is, well, less than they used to. So why is that? Well, it's really a fight on multiple fronts. You've got competition from a global workforce, you've got the rise of automation replacing certain jobs, and then you have central banks actively trying to cool down the economy. All of this puts a real cap on a worker's ability to negotiate from a position of strength. Now, for a really critical piece of this puzzle, that overall inflation number you hear about on the news, that average, it can be super misleading because it hides a pretty painful truth about the cost of the things we absolutely cannot live without. And wow, this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? Just look at that difference. While the general cost of stuff might go up a little, the costs for the absolute necessities, we're talking housing and healthcare, are just skyrocketing. They're growing way, way faster than the average inflation rate. This is what the real squeeze feels like for most households. This quote really just sums it all up perfectly. You might get a 3% raise, which sounds okay, but if your rent goes up 10% and your health insurance jumps 15%, you are going backwards financially. That's the huge difference between your nominal wage, the number on your paycheck, and what it's actually worth in real terms. Okay, so we've looked at a bunch of key factors: these slow-moving wages, weak productivity, lower bargaining power, and those skyrocketing essentials. Now let's put it all together and see the complete picture of why your paycheck is struggling so much. So here it is, the whole story in 4 basic steps. First, your wages are just too slow to react to sudden price spikes. Second, for years, slow productivity growth has meant there's less economic pie to go around for raises. Third, worker bargaining power has been chipped away by these huge global and tech forces. And finally, number 4, the stuff you absolutely need to buy is getting expensive way faster than everything else. At the end of the day, there is no single bad guy to point the finger at here. It's a really complex web of interconnected factors. It's like a perfect storm of economic pressures that have been building for decades. And it all leads to that same frustrating feeling: you're working harder than ever, but you just can't seem to get ahead. Understanding these dynamics is really the first step. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe to Finance Deep Dive. It motivates us to keep posting.